Welcome back. This is part 22 of the AD 1926 video series. It's all about the places inspiring the music for the opening movement of the Route 66 suite. We're going to continue our trek down 1926 Route 66 in Vinita, Oklahoma. This old theater hasn't been a theater in many years. Just down the road is an old hotel, 1894. But it's just off of Route 66, but this would have been the place to stay in 1926. Or catch a movie at the theater that used to be in this location. But you may have seen a movie at the Center Theater instead. Dates back to 1922. Beautiful theater, gorgeous neon. They split the theater into 3 different screens. I saw Space Jam. I camped just outside of Vinita that night, just like a Route 66 traveler 1926 might have. The next town is White Oak, and according to this 1924 map, after that is Witt. I didn't see anything there, so I drove west a bit from 66 toward the railroad. I did find this abandoned house. Next, after Witt, is Catoosa, or Cataly, as I've heard it called. It's a ghost town that was by the railroad. It's still shown on maps as late as 1948. Perhaps that's because the country court was there. This is the site of that, as you can see, no longer there. But that's after 1926, beyond the scope of this video here. But I figured I'd show that just to put it in context to show where Cataly was. If you drive west a little bit, you see this sign, you see this house. But really, Cataly, or Catoosa, was based around the railroad. And it seems even the trains are at a standstill in this ghost town. Heading back onto 66, we approach the town of Chelsea, and we go over this 1926 bridge on the 1926 alignment of Route 66. As we get into Chelsea, we're on 6th Street, and 66 faces the downtown business district, but it actually turns left on Walnut Street instead of crossing the tracks. But a 66 traveler would certainly go into the business district if they needed to, so we're going to take a look around a bit. On the right side of the street, here's an older look at that same block of buildings, and here it is again today. Here's an auditorium that dates back to 1920. I'm very curious to know what kind of entertainment was there, especially in the late 20s. And then there's the Hotel Chelsea. I want to know more about this place. I know nothing right now, but it seems this would be the place that a 1926 traveler would have stayed. Continuing down the road, we've got Howard, just a railroad siding, and then Heil, even though it wasn't named that in 1926, and then Bushy Head. So really not much here, then or now. That is until we get to Foyle, where we would find a hotel. Dates back to the early 1900s. Today, it's just somebody's house. And there's this station that dates back to 1923. It changed hands in 1926, so I think that's why it has 1926 written on the sign. And then we have Andy Payne Boulevard to take us out of Foyle. The ever-present train along 1926 Route 66. Okay, in Claremore, although 66 follows the tracks, there's another set of railroad tracks that go to the old downtown district. This hotel dates back to 1908, but a 66 traveler would have known it as the Twin Oaks Hotel. The Will Rogers Hotel was not built in 1930, so a 66 traveler in 1926, this is probably where they stayed. And boy, at night, this place just looks haunting. The rest of downtown Claremore looks quite inviting, actually, at night. Next up is Verdigris, and although this town was only established in 1980, it dates back many decades. Here's a map from 1916. 66 runs along the southeast side of the tracks, and on the east side of town is a school. At this location on the map is this building. This is a part of Verdigris Elementary, so I assume that's the same building. I have a very good friend that grew up in Verdigris, one of my favorite people in the world. I'll have to ask her if that's where she went to school. As you'll see on the 1916 map, the town was centered on the opposite side of the railroad tracks, and that was likely the same in 1926 when 66 came through. So, to put ourselves in 1926 Verdigris probably looked similar to this. Nowadays, the modern things are on the opposite side of the tracks where Route 66 is, like the Sonic and the Dollar General. We cross the river and find ourselves at this abandoned road. This was 66 from 1926 to 1936. We cross the river again, heading to Catoosa on what is now called Old Highway 66. This is the same 1926 to 36 route, and getting inspiration for both 80 1926 and Among the Trees. We cross modern 66 and take 225th, curve onto 570 Road. That was the original route, and we come to this post-1926 trading post, but thought I'd share the pictures anyhow. Next, we'll take you into Catoosa, but at night. Standing in the middle of Route 66 in Catoosa, Oklahoma. This is Cherokee Street at the corner of Elm, and there isn't much here, but we'll take you down a little bit further. Certainly a quiet part of town, and they sure have some nice holiday decorations this time of year. Alright, this is the Airbnb that I stayed at in Catoosa, right along Route 66. They had a piano, so I got to come up with some ideas there, which was great. Alright, next episode, I'm going to take you from Catoosa into Tulsa. Be sure to subscribe at patreon.com/Route66Suite. Thanks for watching.